Democratic presidential hopeful Kamala Harris captured the spotlight while campaigning in South Carolina over the weekend.
The California senator called for a reversal of the recent GOP tax bill and focused her message on unity.
Look in a mirror and ask this question, who are we? And part of the answer to that question, I think we all know, is we are better than this.
So joining us now is CBSN political reporter Caitlin Huey-Burns, and you were down there sort of shadowing Kamala Harris throughout the weekend. South Carolina, interesting place to go. What was the reception like?
Right. Well, she was getting huge crowds. And the reason that we're focused on South Carolina is because it's going to play a really pivotal role in the primary process. It hosts a Democratic primary. And the reason that so many Democrats are flocking to the state to campaign there even a year before the actual primary is because first, there is a high concentration of African-American voters and women who are going to be fueling the energy behind the Democratic primary. So certainly campaigns are tailoring their messages to South Carolina, which is seen this cycle as a springboard to the party nomination.
Right.
So it's interesting. We teased that South Carolina hasn't voted for president of the United States since 1976. A Democrat, right? What are the demographics there that are sort of shifting, which makes it so appealing to Kamala Harris?
Right. It's appealing to Kamala Harris and other candidates because of black voters who play a really key role, who are key constituency in the state. And it's not really competitive on the national level. We're talking really about the Democratic primary. It's still a very conservative state, but in areas where Democrats are going to be campaigning, Charleston is a big one where I was. I was also in Columbia. These kind of city centers that have seen, more people coming in for jobs and a diverse electorate there. So for a Democratic primary, it's a very hot spot right now for candidates running for president.
So aside from sort of her stops, kind of giving speeches and stuff like that, she kind of did a bit of a tour of businesses and stuff like that.
Right.
And thanks to you, there's a little bit of controversy stirred up. And I mean, a controversy with sort of like air quotes.
Right.
But she tried on this sequined jacket.
Right.
You shot some video of that. Pretty innocuous, just, and then it went viral.
Well, Kamala Harris, part of her campaign stops throughout the state, she was touring a street in Columbia, South Carolina that had many women-owned businesses, black women-owned businesses, and many of the business owners, at least at two places that we stopped at, told her about their story, about kind of coming up in a very tough family situation and finding entrepreneurship as a way up and out. And this one boutique that we stopped at was owned by a woman named Nada, and she told Kamala Harris about her upbringing, and part of her store serves a philanthropy purpose, which is to help disadvantaged people dress for success. And so that was a big part of the story and a big part of Kamala Harris's campaign pitch, which is all about criminal justice, racial equality, among other things. So this was a moment that did go viral, but I think it showed a side of Kamala Harris engaging with people in the community and trying to promote these businesses.
Right.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And this is sort of what you do.
I mean, how is this different than, Bill Clinton stopping at McDonald's and having a Big Mac? I mean, all those things, when candidates are on the campaign trail, reporters trail them, and then you find little quirky, funny moments, and then you put them out there, and then let the world dissect them. It happens every time somebody's running for office.
What I thought of is, because I live in Philadelphia, every time a politician comes to Philadelphia, they must have a cheesesteak. And then it becomes this sort of, charged moment.
Yes.
Will they eat it with a knife and fork? Will they put ketchup on it?
Right.
It's just sort of a little...
in New York, it's been like politicians eating pizza with a fork and knife.
Right.
It's just cheesy and corny.
It's sort of interesting to me how things can kind of like take on a life of their own in the environment that we're living in, that what sort of is considered controversial is so broad now.
And there are a lot of women running for president this cycle. They've already made history by the number of women running for the Democratic nomination. And we cover all of these moments. And this was certainly a moment that showed a different side of Kamala Harris or a different side of a candidate. And again, just speaking to the business owners in this community, a lot of them were able to tell a presidential candidate coming through their store how they thought about things on race, on taxes, on health care. These are all part of the campaign trail, and it was a moment.
And we're going to see much more of that in the next couple of months leading up to 2020. So this won't be the first time or the last time. All right, back to some of Senator Harris's views on the Trump administration. She's been very vocal about this national emergency that the president has declared. What has she said?
Well, she's very vocal. She's obviously a former prosecutor and an attorney, and so she was saying that this is open certainly to legal challenges. But, you know, she and other candidates who were campaigning this weekend were also asked, well, would you declare a national emergency on issues that you care about if you were to be elected president, on things like climate change or gun control? And she didn't really answer the question. She very much was focused on the president's action here and said that specifically did not warrant a national emergency declaration and that it would be susceptible to a legal challenge, but she wouldn't really kind of go there in talking about what she would do. So I think that's something to watch over the next week or so as these candidates are campaigning, and especially campaigning against the president's executive action here. Would they do the same? This is why during the Obama administration, you had a lot of Republicans who were very vocal against using executive order. When your party's in power, it becomes a different situation.
Yep, got to pin them down. That's what you do, Caitlin. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So you can read her full report. Kamala Harris sets her sights on South Carolina with first campaign swing on CBSNews.com.